Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Paradyme. We're hoping you're having a great week and you're better than you were yesterday. In this week's episode, we discuss rule number 9 from Dr. Jordan B. Peterson's book, 12 Rules for Life. The title of this chapter being, Assume the person you are listening to might know something you don't. We here hope you enjoy the episode. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and please leave us a comment below. We love the feedback. And make sure you follow us on all our social media platforms. All the information will be in the description below.
You have to
Please enjoy
search for a new set of rules.
Bread is of little use to the man who has betrayed his soul.
Maybe you're the protagonist in your story, but like there's a little bit of
Before we get into it, I do have a question on the picture in the beginning.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up because I have my own.
Me too. I'll go first. But I see the guy who's walking behind the girl, and she's walking away, just like that feeling you had with your friend. Mm-hmm. It's almost like that's what she feels with him, and he has his hand with his fingers crossed, as if he's saying something. Which, if you break it up, well, look, that was supposed to happen because I told you so. Mm-hmm. And he has his finger up like, I told you so. And if you look at the picture behind, you can see that it's almost like that's what that picture is entitling. You have the guy on the end that's like, I can't deal with this. There's so much like people that are saying like, I told you so. And you look on the very right and they're arguing, going, it's almost like the chaotic, and the further left you look, there's like a little bit of order. Like they understand that like advice isn't required on everything, but we should understand that like there's going to be chaos and conflict. Like,
so when I first looked at this, before I read this, my first thought was the guy is mimicking what's going on in the picture. Mm. And like just naturally, he finds himself being part of a group and him being like, this is the right way. This is it. And the girl just naturally, a very strong-headed woman, almost never wants to listen to what guys have to say. They just automatically think they're like, no. You ever had that? You're with a woman, they've literally closed their ears to you. Yeah. Right. She goes, I don't want to hear it. No, you're wrong. You know? And I just feel like he just mimicking something because he's young. He goes, this is it. This is what guys do. We do it like this.
Right. I think that's Socrates Trial behind him. Yeah. I kind of think of, remember like back in middle school or whatever, people would tell you something and you'd be like, oh, you lied. They're like, no, I had my fingers crossed. Yeah. You know what I mean? He could be like, the same thing. This whole thing is like advice, right? He could be giving her advice right now and his fingers are behind his back. You know what I mean? Crossed. It's like, okay, well, I had my fingers crossed. I was just kind of like bullshitting you. You know what I mean? That's kind of how I was thinking. And then Socrates Trial, I just think it's interesting because.
What is the trial by Socrates? Enlighten me. Do you know what it's
about? So this, the person that was ruling Greece at the time asked Oracle, which is like this being that who is the wisest man in Greece. Okay. And the Oracle said Socrates. Okay. And then so they put Socrates on trial. And so the one thing that made him the wisest man in Greece was that he knew he didn't know.
Oh,
right.
He talks about it at the end, right?
Right. He talks about it in this chapter.
Okay.
And the whole thing was like, I'll let you live if you just leave. Right.
Oh,
and he decided not to leave.
Yeah.
Right. And just face the trial.
Because he almost liked it. It's like God gave him like the perfect way out. You know?
Right.
He's like, he was like, I get to die, like not of like being crippled and old. Yeah. It's like a very graceful way to go. I'm still in my prime.
Is that the reason why he had a trial? Because
they were trying to see if he was the wisest person.
Because the Oracle.
And he proved it by saying, there's no way I can be because I don't know everything. And I never will. Interesting.
Right. Yeah. And so that was what's really interesting. And going to school and like this geology thing, it breaks it into you that you don't know shit. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because like literally the wisest people in geology don't know anything. Like they know stuff, but they don't know. You know what I mean?
Dude, I think with that, even with working out, like I've been working out every day for like 4 years or whatever. And then Space Blend's talking to me about kind of my macros and shit like that. And I was like, you're speaking Spanish. Don't know what you're talking about.
Go ahead, David. What do you think about them?
Think about the illustration?
Yeah. Or what were your thoughts?
Yours does look dope.
After reading the chapter?
Dope.
Yeah, I kind of see it as that way. Like, you know, obviously these, first of all, the two, like the boy has his finger up. The old person in the back has their finger up. That usually, I think people do that when they're trying to prescribe advice or say something. And
oh, you can't see it, huh? I was trying to pull it as a reference.
Oh, yeah. Same thing. I mean, group of people don't want to hear this dude giving advice, and then this little girl doesn't want to hear this little dude giving advice.
I like how they always draw the girl taller than him too.
Yep.
It's pretty.
I wonder who they're supposed to be. I know they're like some reason they're important to Jordan Peterson enough to put him in his book. Like
Interesting.
it could be his
kids,
daughter
I'm
and
not
his son.
sure.
I don't know. I only hear about his
I
daughter.
always thought like they were like classmates or something.
Yeah.
Equal, like not related.
On some field trip or something.
Because the way I think about it, the whole time it seems like they're kind of like going through life together, and it's like very like just growing up with like male and female, you know.
Yeah.
But they're not related. That's the vibe I got from it.
Definitely.
Sort of moving along.
Sorry.
That story where he's talking about that patient that he had that was said that she thinks she had been raped
Miss S.
5 times.
Was it Miss S?
That's we're skipping kind of far.
Miss S?
No, we're
That's
not.
like the second page.
Yeah. Sorry.
And then I thought it was really crazy. Skipping one more page after that, there is something that I wrote or I highlighted, which is that people can be so confused that their psyches will be ordered and their lives improved by the adoption of any reasonably orderly system of interpretation. Pretty wild.
And those people are honestly a danger to themselves because they're looking for something to give them order that they typically latch on to abusive boyfriends. They typically latch on to maybe the wrong crowd of people because it gives them a place in life.
Confusion.
Yeah.
Literally people that have there's someone that I know right now. Maybe I've mentioned it to you guys that it kind of goes for everybody though. Like people are confused. Their psyches are kind of like they think everything that they have right now is like all they know, and they're afraid to lose that small sense of order that they have, that they with their paradigm think it's order, even if it is abusive, if it's like just a bad situation,
right.
Like, you know what I mean? But they didn't get that. They're not, they're it's like almost the state of like, how abusive, that he is or whatever. And then I'm like, what, why are you with him? Like what?
Yeah.
But I was like in that same scenario,
Sure.
You know what I mean? I was in an abusive relationship, and that was like old David was like, this is the way it's supposed to be, I guess.
This
like,
is
you know what I mean?
life.
This is shit. This is fucking whatever. As long as it makes the person happy, whatever.
My life always feels like diarrhea.
Yeah, seriously. And
Just talking shit.
I think at the time, I remember being very confused. You know what I mean? Like, not even just dealing with someone who was toxic, abusive, or had their own shit going on. Just me as myself. I was like, this is my first relationship and everything.
I do have a question for because I highlighted the same statement. I said, do you guys believe the systems we are implementing in our lives a permanent or quick fix? Because back to the quote, people can be confused that their psyches will be ordered and their lives improved by the adoption of any reasonably orderly system of interpretation.
That's hard. I feel like you gotta know, like, it takes some really deep thinking to like.
Okay,
ahead, John.
I'm gonna reframe the question more of, do you believe that you'll be able to apply this knowledge of not just this, but everything you're going through in life to further life ahead? Or is it sort of just like, hey, I'm doing this to see where is it going to lead me? Mm-hmm. Like, because you don't know, like, if this is going to be applicable in the future, or is it like, I'm learning this because I written it down because I want to like keep it in my brain and apply it to future existence?
I think it depends. I think there's a healthy balance of like knowing what you want to like set in stone is like, I'm going to learn, this is what I'm learning forever. And like, I'm going to die with this. But then also like kind of training that other side of you that's like seeing yourself from a bird's eye point of view and is like, I can, this is something that I know now, but I know I'm going to learn more.
Yeah.
I think it's all what you're going for. Like, I think before me moving here, it was just a quick fix. I'm like, not happy with anything. Gonna leave. Like, why stay? But coming here, reading these books have taught me a lot of great things. Like, for example, I was telling David, I just accepted the job to be a teacher. It's all about really being with people, making like a difference in their lives, like acknowledging them. When we go to the gym, I'm literally the guy at the gym. I talk to every single person. Like, now I'm friends with like Space Bonds, these fucking guys that live down the street. And like, I think that's all applicable for like what I'm shooting for my new career, acknowledging people, making meaningful connections. How can I like interact with you and it means something? And when like you look forward to have another interaction with me because like maybe I brighten your day, you know? Awesome. So I think that's all applicable. And then this habits of like what's important, working out, reading, eating healthy. Those were like my habits I set forth in the 7 habits. And like, I think just lifelong, those are good habits,
Forever.
you know?
Yeah, definitely.
I think when you get over there and you're a teacher, you should say 10 points extra credit if you read one of these books.
Oh!
I'll bump you a whole grade.
Let's go.
Yeah, hell yeah. And you know, it's like, these books mean a lot. No one fucking
Even
reads.
Nice Bike, they could read it in a month.
Dude, I think Nice Bike's the best book to suggest to people because it's so light and just like, I think people are so afraid to talk to other people.
Yeah.
It's like, we're meant to.
You
High
know,
school kids
it's
need
so,
that book.
I think that ending too, like I'll just talk about it right now, like Socrates thing. You know that you know nothing or whatever,
Right.
like the end, like that fucking low that like kind of points me to like why I said like, we think we're learning all this shit, right, with the book club and everybody's like, oh shit, these kids, like these dudes are learning a lot, whatever. But at the end of the day, it's like we're on a 3rd book, bro. We're not even philosophers.
We're just learning.
Yeah, it's like
It's crazy. You could tie that in back to the quote, like how people
Well,
create. Like, it's crazy.
That's what it's all about. And all these guys that were like, who we study now, they were just a bunch of fucking dudes, like talking about what they're passionate about and learning as they go. And it's just that history has gone on and we refer back to them because what they were doing was so like influential, you know?
Oh, yeah. I actually was studying a little bit off topic. I'll keep it short, but Nietzsche and his life, dude, he developed so many like philosophical like books of work and was trying to figure out life on a philosophical like way, and then his life turned into something very miserable. But he was teaching people sort of like means of life, you know what I mean, keeping people strong, and but he passed away with all of this, but his name is remembered as one of the greatest.
Yeah,
but he didn't
this dude
have
refers to Nietzsche like a billion times.
but he didn't have the greatest life. So that like that's how I think too, like just that little knowledge is like, it's not about like how much we can achieve in life. It's kind of sort of like along the lines of like, how much will people remember us for?
What's the impact?
You know what I mean? Yeah. What's the impact? Like,
how big's the splash in your palm of life?
interesting.
I would say these are long-term things. Personally, just seeing how much like I really picked up books in 2018 and seeing the growth from there to now, I would say that they're permanent. Like even my first book I really picked up and read was Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
That's a great book.
And like it taught me things about
Amen.
that I still apply today.
when did we first play Cash Flow? Was that 2020 or 2019? Was that during the COVID?
It was 2020 because I was already over here.
And that was the
we played-
second time we played.
The first time we played was
At
2020.
David's house was 2020.
Okay, because I'm trying to think back to like how long, because that's around that time is when I really was like already diving into reading. But I started reading in 2019, like seriously.
And I mean, there's things that you still apply.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I would say that it would be a permanent thing. Like I wouldn't want to just be reading these books just to be reading these books. Like
totally.
I want to read these books to learn and apply. Like I had a conversation with Nadine about some of the stuff we talked about in here. And like, I don't know if there is in depth to the conversations you have with Claire, but it was like opening windows and doors that I hadn't seen in her before, and questions that she was asking of me that we hadn't discussed before.
Yeah.
And like the mindset that I'm building as we're doing this, or as we're reading books, or as I'm going to school, it's applied to all aspects.
That's so crazy you said that, because literally me and Claire do the same shit. Like, but it's always like along the lines of like something gets said, and I'm like, yeah, in the reading, and then she's like, she asks me a question, I'm like, okay, well, let me break it down even further, and the conversation gets so deep, and then that mindset is like, it's permanent, like it's engraving in my fucking brain, and it's opening windows for her,
acting as a teacher.
and it's but not just a teacher though, because she's teaching me stuff too, because like. It's showing me that like
Being peers with each other.
yeah, and we're learning from each other. Like, damn, you don't know this stuff. Damn, I didn't know that stuff. And also, like, look what I do know, and you know this too. Like, it's like crazy.
It's really like comes back to what he talks about in this chapter, which was the types of conversation.
I'm so happy. That was going to jump off to.
Literally, what you were
numbered all
doing
those
is
conversations.
mutual exploration.
Yeah.
She might know something I don't know. I might know something she might not know. Let's discuss.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into that.
What's the reading of the chapter called? Assume that the person you're listening to might know something.
That's why I love this chapter, because I love the way he ended it with like, he taught us all this stuff, and then he gave us examples, and then gave us the reason on why we should apply it. So that's why I like this chapter a lot.
And I was thinking, like, reading these books by yourself, it's only like so much, but like what's beneficial is that we talk about it.
Yeah.
And we break it down, because like he says, like, to think, you actually need to be two people.
Talking, yeah.
You need to be two people in your head. And like, to be two people in your head is actually fucking a lot of fucking work. Dude.
Yeah, it is.
But like, the fact that we have 4 people right here, and everyone's got different paradigm, different backgrounds, and we break it down. We haven't got to the fucking 3rd page. We've had so much to talk about, That's what has helped me grow so much.
Yeah.
I get to play around with my ideas and shoot it to you, and you like dribble it, and then you shoot it back.
Yeah.
It's cool too, because he talks about thinking is a form of a talking, or like talking when you're in a conversation with someone, and it's like it even gets like conflicted at some point. They don't even know why they're conflicted, or the conflict happens because they're saying it as they're talking about it.
Yeah.
And then they're articulating their thoughts. Like, some people just need to literally talk it out, because that's their form of thinking and being like, okay, just said this, or you know what I mean?
I'm that way. When I was dealing with getting my job, I literally called Jay, and I was like, how far you got in the book? And he was like, I kind of just started. I was like, whatever, dude. I was like, he says that like thinking you need to be 2 people. I was like, I'm not gonna be 2 people. I'm only John.
Yeah.
I was like, I need you to talk back and forth on it. I need you to be the second person.
Yeah.
And you're really good at being neutral. That's why I called you.
Yeah.
I mean, I recall saying, like, I think you know what you got to do. You know what I mean? And like something popped in your head and you made that decision.
I kind of knew. I wanted to toss the ball around. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And I can't toss it by myself.
Yeah.
He says right here to like 240, the people I listen to need to talk, because that's how people think. People need to think, otherwise they wander blindly into pits. When people think, they stimulate the world and plan how to act in it. Pretty crazy, man. Like, thinking is a form, or talking is a form of thinking for people. So they're not getting led into the pits or whatever, quote unquote.
I think
of
it's
their
like
mind.
opening new like neural links. Like when you think about something, it's in a box, but when you express it to somebody, it opens up, and then now you have all these things sticking out. But when you talk to somebody, like all these like extra links get built on top of those links, because now you have something that's like going back and forth.
Yeah. It's interesting. He says later in the chapter too, it's like people rely on other people for their sanity.
Yeah, it's true. Dude, before I met you guys, bro, I was by myself so much. And like, you guys know me, I'm such a people person. And it was during COVID. I was like, how much longer do I have to be fucking isolated? Because this shit crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I was telling Lexi, I'd go make friends for the day at the park. I'll just be like, what's up, dude?
Just go sit next to him.
And I would.
Yeah, hell yeah, man.
I think you were like kind of like losing it too, because like comparing when I first knew you to now, like you're more expressive, and you're like, you've kind of like planted your foundation, with all of our friend groups. But beforehand, when you didn't really know anybody, like I remember at the bar, you were like, bro, they probably think I'm just being weird. I'm probably too much. I'm too this or whatever. And I was like, no, dude, like you were just talking, right? And getting it out. And I'm like, no, you're not. Like, they're lame. You're cool.
Right.
And fuck what they think, whatever.
Yeah.
It's true though. I was worried, because I was like, bro, like, I don't want to scare people out. Like,
The new guy, yeah.
I want to go hang out, but I know I'm like a lot of energy. But now I don't give a fuck. I was like, y'all so lame.
I got a group, huh?
Yeah, dude. Doesn't matter where you are.
I'm gonna just make a lot.
Definitely.
Bro. All right, Jay. It's just me and you. Just me.
I heard that. That came up on the mics. That shit was loud.
That shit had some bass in it. Okay, Skrillex.
Thanks for not doing that in here.
Yeah, I love that out there.
You brought
There's
it
this
in, though.
part 2 on 241.
I did bring it here. Jesus Christ, I'm sorry, guys.
That's that fucking Pokeland.
Oh my God.
Everything.
Right here. Listen to this.
Okay.
People think they think, but it's not true. It's mostly self-criticism that passes for thinking. True thinking is rare, just like true listening. Thinking is listening to yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of what I was bringing up. Why, like, I needed to talk to someone, because like, I don't like, we were talking about why you're using method. I'm not the best about like having internal dialogue and thinking stuff through. I kind of just like have a good feeling and go. But sometimes I'm like, hey, maybe I should think about it. But I'm not the best at being 2 people. So I need someone else to like balance it out.
Using that paradigm, what do you think would be a good way of thinking about something?
It literally talks about it in the next part. True thinking is complex and demanding. It requires you to be an articulate speaker and careful, judicious listener at the same time. It involves conflict. So you have to tolerate conflict. And I think that's a really, really great way of thinking, like as a true form of thinking is like after this.
I think later in this chapter, he talks about when you're in conflict with somebody, a good like tip or trick to do is like clearly replay back to them their position. And if you're able to, almost make it clearer than they were able to. So then they accept, yes, David was listening to all my concerns. He was listening so well that he almost said it back better to me than I heard. So it opens the door to them to hear your rebuttal, because at least they go, he was listening.
Yeah, the Rogerian method.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
I highlighted that was a bit mentioned real quick. This is
Page?
242 at the bottom, the last paragraph. I think a lot of people lack in this area or are very unaware of even honing that this is how a lot of people think or how they may think. It says, if you're going to insist on bending the world to your way, you better have your reasons. If you're going to stand on your ground, you better have your reasons. You better have thought them through. You might otherwise be in a very hard landing. You should do what other people do unless you have a very good reason not to. If you're in a rut, at least you know that other people have traveled that path. I think that's why we always look to people in the past and why we're motivated and inspired, because we have something to aim at. We have a goal. But we also don't acknowledge that like we are our own people. So we want to think like, oh, well, they did it this way. What if I recreate the wheel and change everything about it and do it my own way? Not realizing you might be in a hard landing, meaning you might fuck up and fail because no one else did it that way. It's not to say that don't be innovative and creative, but also try to keep the key components of that thought and that innovation intact, if that makes sense.
Totally. Before we skip ahead, I just want to go, I highlighted this and I thought it kind of refers to what we were talking about earlier. It goes, we place those, he talks about how we make little avatars of ourselves. We place those avatars in, this is 241. We place those avatars in fictional worlds. Then we watch what happens. If our avatar thrives, then we act like he does in the real world. Then we thrive. If our avatar fails, we don't go there. If we have any sense, we let him die in the fictional world so that we don't have to really die in the present. So I just wrote, sometimes we never get past simulating. Sometimes we need to just do it. Like, for example, for a long time, I have been wanting to introduce myself to Space Buns. She was like, the cute girl at the gym, yada, yada. And there's been other girls too. Shot my shot. And I thought in my head, I was like, this is how you do it, yada, yada, this is how you do it. And a lot of people maybe fantasize about that, and they never just go send it. I'm just talking about girls, but it could be about a lot of
anything.
Sometimes the simulation is just simulation. Like we're humans, it's just like we can't factor in how they act, so sometimes we just never get past the simulation. Sometimes you got to go send it and like maybe not work out, but like what's the worst can happen? You're not going to die. The worst can happen in Space Buns is going to be like not receptive of like your conversation,
I always think about, how you always say like you're literally only one conversation away.
I love this.
literally. And you could have not said anything in Space Buns. And now we're just talking to her, which is like,
it's sick.
You're like stoked off it, which is stoked too. Cause like I talked to her and I'm like, you're cool now. It's not weird.
Yeah, definitely. Just kind of bringing it back to the Rogerian method. It's on page 246, first paragraph, about halfway down. He suggested that his readers conduct a short experiment when they next found themselves in a dispute. Stop the discussion for a moment and institute this rule. Each person can speak up for himself only after he has first restated the ideas and feelings of the previous speaker accurately and to that speaker's satisfaction. So I was first introduced to this idea in Communications 4. It's an interpersonal communications class at Reedy College.
Okay.
And it was talking about conflict styles. Right, or like avoiding all the stuff we've kind of talked about.
Yeah. You actually bring that up a lot. That makes more sense now because you're drawn from something.
Right. Yeah. So it's just what I was taught back at Reedy College. But literally, like, think about how much better a conversation that has conflict in it, or like disputing ideas, could be if you were to be able to restate something back to somebody, and they'd be like, "Okay, he understands what I'm talking about. If he listens to me, then maybe I should listen to him." Like just conflict and conflict resolution would go so much smoother using that process. And so I just wrote here, institute that idea.
Yeah, I have.
I just thought it was an honorable mention.
I think that's kind of like we talked earlier, like the permanent. That's something that I will permanently
for life. It's a good tip and trick, dude. Straight up.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
among anything. I use it today. I was
gonna say you use it a lot with your job. I think your job requires you to like really use a lot of these skills that we're learning in the book.
Yeah.
Like we're finishing up Yoshino's, and then we got to move that temporary fence that's there, and the brick needs to be power washed, and a couple other things. And I called the guy who's like kind of responsible for it, and he was like, "Oh, now you want me to power wash, and you want me to take this down, and you want me to do that?" And I was like, he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna call. Let me call you right back." And on that note, I was like, "Okay, check this out." I went and called another subcontractor. I talked to him, and I got him on the hook to power wash the brick. Because I was like, it's technically your mess. And I was like, really help me out for the next job. I know we're about to start this next job. Can you do this for us? I called the first guy back saying, hey, I repeated everything back he said that he was upset about. I was like, check this out. I was like, don't worry about the power washing. Handle. The things we need to take down, I will rent the equipment if you can just get the guys there. Is that fair? You know what I'm saying? And I was like, and then still the original thing that you're on the hook for, which there's no dispute about that. And he was like, okay, that sounds pretty fair. I want to talk to my boss about that, see if we can get that squared away. And I was like, all right, bet. But I was like, look, I kind of like compromised with him, but not really. I was like, okay, he's feeling type of way. Let's see if I can get someone else to do it. And then go back to him, repeat what he needs to hear.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and he goes on to give the advantages too, the first and the second. I highlighted those. I don't know. I really like 46 and through like 40 or 450 were like very like big to me. I took a lot of notes.
Yeah,
on this, like
definitely. Actually, on 250, I highlighted the fact is important enough to bear repeating. People organize their brains with conversation. If they don't have anyone to tell their story to, they lose their mind. Like hoarders, they cannot unclutter themselves. The input of the community is required for the integrity of the individual psyche. To put it another way, it takes a village to organize a mind. And so I wrote up a question. Are there any issues or thoughts currently residing in our psyches that people want to talk about? We will listen and only propose solutions if asked. Remember, it takes a village to organize a mind.
I wish David was here for that conversation. Just on that note, it's exactly what I said like before I met you guys. It's like I didn't have anybody to bounce shit with because it was like I was by myself, and like your psyche just tends to go fucking like you got no one to talk to. It's crazy. We're pack animals.
Yeah, in the same loop.
Is the question, is there something that a lot of people can have a conversation with? Is that what you said?
The question is, are there any issues or thoughts currently residing in our psyches that you guys want to talk about?
Just general population or just us? Or
us.
Us.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to speak for other people.
I kind of want to answer the general population one too, but within us, I would just say conversational why would be improvement. I think we all have that. Like,
no, I feel like if you don't, I think the question is asking like, do you have anything on your plate that you would wish to discuss to help bring order to your brain? Right? Is that the question?
Correct.
Okay. Me personally, no. We guys talk all the time.
Yeah, that's why it's kind of hard with us. That's why I was like, general population, I would have an idea, a better idea. It would be more of like the Kevin Samuels, like fresh and fit conversation, the man and woman, and having men understand women and women understanding man on a better perspective. I think a large population is trying to find that out right now because we've been locked in for so long, because there's dating apps, because people don't know how to talk to each other, how to communicate well. And so I think people, women and men, are finding themselves, I have to learn about the opposite sex in order to progress in life. And not progress in that form, totally. But like, if I want to date more people, if I want to have a healthy relationship. Yeah. You know what I mean? To build a conversation with a woman or a man. Like, how do I even
fucking and sucking,
you know what I mean? Because that shit gets boring really fast. Totally. And that shit is meaningless. It's fun, especially like my fun is different from someone else's fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I told you guys, I was like, after that, I was like, this meant nothing to me. That's
so I think like just that conversation alone for the general population right now, I'm seeing, at least I want to believe that a lot of people are kind of tapping into that like field of like understanding the opposite sex. Mm-hmm. because I know I have, like, I understand that, like, I don't understand women, like, on a deeper level. I understand women, like, are more, like, emotional and
About understanding men and women. There's a book I started and didn't finish it. It's called Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. I think that'd be a great book for us to read, maybe. You know, it talks about, like, how men and women deal with certain problems differently and, like, the psychology behind it. And, like, as I started reading it, I was like, wow, that's really is how I dealt with shit. And that really is how, like, my ex dealt with it.
stuff.
And, like,
Yeah.
understand that, I go, that's why women are like that. Like, they're just predisposed to it. Like, some are more tomboy, some guys are more feminine, but, like, for the most part.
For me, like, I'm specifically me, I guess. Stuff like this, stuff like the 7 Habits, and things that tap into, like, applying things into real world. I have to look at the author's background.
Okay.
Like, so where did he or she come from? What experience do they have in that field? Or are they just preaching to everybody because they think they know everything, or they think they know that men or women are like this based on their own perspective of the world?
Sure.
So that, like, Jordan Peterson and I don't know the 7 highly effective habits of
Stephen
Covey, like, they have phenomenal records of in real life experience. So, like, applying things to my real life, I have to look at the person, like, just like how he talks about is, like, don't try and create the wheel, like, apply what other people have done and follow that path. And you know what I mean? And
that's crazy, because that's literally Socrates and Aristotle's thing, is like what you were looking for in anybody. And I think that's what's good about this book is the first 2 opening chapters that aren't even really chapters establishes Jordan Peterson's ethos. Like, if I'm going to listen to your logos and accept your logos,
the party,
then I need to make sure you're a credible source. And, like, those actually come from Socrates and Aristotle, which is, like, in order to make a good argument, you need to establish yourself as credible ethos. You need to have good logic, logos, and you need to appeal to emotion, pathos.
Because it taps back into the 7 highlight where he talks about the map.
Exactly.
If you're learning the wrong map and you're learning stuff that is going to land you in the wrong place, you're going to be running in circles for a very long time. But I'm not saying, like, that book isn't, like, he might be a phenomenal author. And
Sure. I mean, I'll put something out there. Like, we could look into it more later, you know. I, personally, from what I read of it, it was pretty helpful just to me understanding, I think, how I fell short in my relationship. And, like, I've only had one real relationship in my life. And I was like, oh, next time I know when things get like this, it's a 2-way street. It's because I'm acting like this. So the collateral is that she acts like this. And if she acts like this, if I act like this, it's not helping the situation. Like, and it's like, it was very interesting. I look back at my past, I'm sure they would love it. And it's like, I see where I went wrong. I took a left. I should have taken a right. You know?
Yeah, definitely. That makes sense.
If I told you guys, do you guys know what happened to Jordan Peterson recently?
No?
How about you?
As far as what topic?
Before he dropped his second book, what happened in his life personally? So we all accept Jordan Peterson's ethos in terms of, like, he's a credible source to give us information, and we're willing to take in and learn from it. If I told you he recently went through a spat of being addicted to drugs and dealing with his house not being in order, would you be less likely to take his word?
To be honest, I would almost want to take it more serious.
That's how I see it too. Because we're not perfect. How many people that have been successful in any field that caught a drug problem?
Right.
David Goggins is a great example. He went from being obese to fit to obese again and back to fit.
Yeah.
If you're always on top of the hill, always preaching down, how can you relate to the common man?
That's how I see it. It's like, if Jordan Peterson was so perfect and he lived by this 100% and never had any faulty, like, mishaps or miscommunication, and how far or how long will this be?
How relatable are you?
How can we comprehend this when you're perfect and
you never fail?
Like, how can I be that? Like, I fucking fail. Like, we're not relatable.
And the fact that he got back up, he fixed everything, right? Got back up on the horse and, like, continued to ride away, right? Like, healthy.
Yeah, definitely. So, he got off it was Xanax, I think, benzodiazepines.
Yeah, benzos.
His wife got a form of cancer who only 200 people in the whole United States have ever been diagnosed with.
Holy shit. She passed away?
No, she just was extremely sick.
Holy shit.
And so I think that's an interesting point, because it's true. Like, a lot of people hold these celebrities or, like, people like Jordan Peterson to such a high standard in like the general consensus where like if you make one mistake, like Kevin Hart with the
Get
Oscars,
fucking canceled.
you're canceled.
Yeah.
And like,
That shit's not healthy at
let's
all.
turn around and look at the log that's in your eyeball if we're going to go and look at a speck in somebody else's, you know, and that kind of comes back to 2 chapters ago, but it was like, even like with gender dynamics, like the book, like you were talking
transgender
about,
thing, yeah.
if that person didn't have like a successful marriage, I would still be open to the listening to his ideas because he's lived it.
And he does have a successful marriage, and he has talked about like when things have gotten turbulent,
Yeah.
and how like when he talked about when things were turbulent, I was like, that reminds me so much of me and Sasha. But he was like, this is how we came together and stayed together, because he goes, in nowadays times, it's so easy to just be like, let's just abandon ship.
Yeah.
It's gotten too rocky for us, and that shit happens all the time. Dude.
Yeah. And I think I was trying to do that with my ex, because we built something for so long, and how Jordan Peterson says like so many people don't like want to escape that comfort zone because it's like what you've known for so long. And I was trying to like repair the boat while it was sinking, but it was nothing like to where it would ruin our relationship. It was just more of us just growing apart naturally as people. But she saw it as like, I'm not experiencing enough life. I'm in my comfort zone. I'm in my bubble, and I don't know how to break out of it. And I think this might be a good step.
Right.
And I was trying to like repair a broken boat. Like it was already broken. I couldn't pull it out from the sea. Like,
And
you know what I mean?
he talked about that. He talks about how men, they just see a problem and they want to fix it. Where women, they see a problem and they just want you to listen to it.
Yeah.
They want to formulate it before.
They just want to formulate it. They're not asking you to fix it. But if men come to you with a problem, we go, oh, another guy's coming to us with a problem. He respects me enough. I should give him a solution.
Right.
Where women, they just want to hear their words being heard.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
It's
that makes sense.
He talks about that in the way of the superior man. It was like, you should gather a council of men because they'll propose solutions to you that'll be achievable.
And you've talked about Superior Man, and like, it overlaps. I'd be interested in reading that book
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, that's a book. That's on my list.
It's a really good book. There's some weird stuff in it, but I mean, there's really
Hey, bro, use them, abuse them. Oh, you know.
That's exactly that book. Literally, yeah. But yeah, I mean, that was page 250.
This chapter hella short too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or did you guys get past 246?
We literally haven't talked about the book since you left.
Oh, well, you had the question. I don't know if you want to ask David.
So on 250, the quote is, "The fact is important enough to bear repeating. People organize their brains with conversation. If they don't have anyone to tell their story to, they lose their minds. Like hoarders, they cannot unclutter themselves. The input of the community is required for the integrity of the individual psyche. To put it another way, it takes a village to organize a mind." And so the question I put here is, are there any issues or thoughts personally are there issues or thoughts currently residing in our psyche that we would like to talk about? We will listen and only propose solutions if asked. Remember, it takes a village to organize a mind.
So is that for me?
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody.
Like, to talk about
Is there any
issues?
It's just like if you have someone on your plate, maybe you want to talk about, we can talk about it. And if not, don't worry about it.
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah, because I didn't really like. I gave like a general, like somewhat of the general population, because I feel like we discuss enough to like not really like. I feel like you guys know everything about my life right now.
And I talked about the job thing. I'm like, I called you guys, talk about it. So like,
Not really an issue to talk about. Just like, like reading stuff like this, like you just said, like the confusion part, or their mind is, they're discombobulated or whatever. Like, made me think about Mariah, like where like I would try and do the prescribing, and sometimes I wish I would have like known these things back then. Just like maybe could have like worked or whatever, or could have possibly had a different outcome. But I think even thinking out loud, the resentment was still there because of like the things that she had did. Like no matter what, like if like she knew herself, like the act of doing some of the things like hurt really bad. And I don't know, maybe like,
let me ask you this. Maybe if you knew some of those things, it would have never gotten to that point. Do you ever think about that?
if I knew some of these things,
Yeah.
probably
Because
like probably would have.
it would have never gotten to that point, maybe.
I don't know. So I've just been like thinking about that lately. Like, sometimes I have these dreams about her and it just like fucks me up. Like I get like hella emotional, but I think it's like subconsciously because I'm like drawing a lot of conclusions as to like replaying some of these things that like I'm learning about that like maybe I could have handled differently, or like, you know,
Sure.
she could have heard me out or vice versa. And I don't know, sometimes it's like depressing when like just talking about it, but it's also like, you know, if I didn't make the decision I made, I wouldn't have learned this stuff now. I probably would have been stuck in that like for forever. I don't know. Like I don't know.
I think that's the best way to do it, though. If you've seen the Principles by Ray Dalio, where it talks about the spiral going up, it talks about strive, stumble, process, reconfigure, move forward. And it's like this continual circle up. You know what I mean? And so it's important for you to, it's really important for you to process what happened in that relationship, process it, reconfigure how you want to move forward, and then move forward.
Yeah. The past is the future. You know, if you don't learn from the past, you're not going to have a better future.
And I think, you know, like in the dating game and whatever, like now, like in what I'm doing now to like, which I would say it's more of an exploratory learning vibe, I guess I'd say, for like dating. I'm not like looking to just commit off the fucking bat and being like, no, you're what, like, you know, this is mutually like, you know, even between me and Sadie right now, like I love the way she put it. Like, couldn't it worked like more like, I guess I want to say perfect, but like just realistic for what we're at right now in our lives. Like she said, I like you, have a crush on you, but I don't need a date right now. She's like, I'm willing to explore that with you, which is like, you know, I feel like I am exploring the dating world or whatever.
Sure.
Like, it's an exploration. I'm like learning, and I'm not like fucking looking at as an intention to just like, I think just me, like I'm analyzing a lot of things in my life, and that's that. I guess that would be an issue. Yeah. With me, like me that I'm talking, like, is the whole dating kind of vibe thing. Like right now, like it's weird.
If I would just like, you looking back and like things you read remind you of like your past relationship. I mean, at least for me, I deal with that all the time. You know, I still dream about my ex, and like, I always have that conversation with myself being like, I wonder if I would have known what I know now, if it wouldn't have got to the point where I thought I had to leave. You know what I'm saying? But
how do you deal with that, like in a productive manner, and not like because it's easy to just kind of like dwell on that and be like, fuck, like you know what I mean? Or is it's not easy?
I'm not gonna tell you it's not easy, but you know, I just think of myself as like, if that wouldn't have happened, I would have had no experience in dating around, because that was like my first girlfriend. And if it would be incredible if my first ever girlfriend was just a win all the way through. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I feel like you got to lose sometimes to win. Any great winner has lost, and they hate the taste of loss, so they want to win next time. Mm-hmm. So like, let this loss be remembered. So your next something that's serious, you think to yourself, what are the tips and tricks I can do to make this a win?
And on that too, I don't know if you guys brought it up. It was like way earlier in the chapter, but I meant to talk about it. There's a quote that said, "Memory's purpose is not. Or I rephrase it in my own words. Memory's purpose is to not remember the past. It's to stop the same damn thing from happening over and over."
Yeah, what's insanity? Doing the same damn thing over again and expecting different results. So like, if you want your next relationship to be happy, don't repeat what you did.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's a reminder.
That's whatever. She's part of your life, bro, but shit, life goes on.
I think, I don't want to say my case is like super special or whatever, but there's just things that like the way my dad put it, like I'll never forget, you know, he was like, you guys' relationship right now is like literally a tree trunk split in half. So like the axe was there, and then she kept like putting it further and further down. And it like, you know, cheating, lying, so all these things just split it apart.
Just you saying that, you said she kept pushing it down. I think the thing you need to learn is a relationship's not a one-way street. You affected her pushing it down, whether it was like not being there for her or not hearing her out when she needed to be here now. I'm just saying, I don't know what's going on, but like A relationship is never one way. A reason a girl does this is because she wasn't getting this.
I agree. I pushed it down too.
That's why I think the men are from Mars, women from Venus, because like I used to think like she did this, she did that, and then I read the book. I read most of it, and I was like, I see why she was in that position, because like I was letting her down in different aspects where like I didn't realize, because those aren't my needs, but girls have different needs than us.
Yeah, and so that's
even when you would say someone cheated on you behind your back, like
totally,
you'd say that I contributed to that somehow.
100%, bro. I'm sorry to say, but 100%. Like,
no, I don't take it offense at all. I just want to know
because
why.
If a relationship's healthy and like both parties are getting what they need, you'll never need to go to another pasture. But just like, okay, the grass is always greener. The grass is greener because the grass is being watered. Were you probably taking care of your garden? And maybe you think you were, but if you look back at it, like, how are you letting her down? You know, relationship really is a two-way street.
Dang.
So like,
that's crazy. Just because like,
were you taking care of the weeds before they grew? Were you watering your garden? Were you giving it proper sunshine? Or were you leaving your plant in the kitchen because you had the plant for years and you think the plant always lives? It lives every year. Who cares if I don't water it? It's a cactus. You know what I'm saying? But like,
yeah.
It's not. It's a flower. You know, it needs love.
I get you. It's like, it's weird to think about it in terms of that like that, because I don't think I did everything right. There's definitely times where I did stuff wrong, but like that specifically, I think was like, I was like, why? Like it doesn't make like, I don't think it'll ever make sense to me.
Dude, trust me. I get that so much. It just like, that's why I think we should read this book, bro. It really helped me out.
But that's why I bring that up. The sit down with her is because it will give you that clarity. It will give you, okay, like since you know that's a two-way street, and knowing that, oh, Mariah is not going to change, because you keeping that paradigm of her, you keeping that, it's obviously it's not mandatory. You guys don't owe each other, like you guys are having different lives now.
Right.
It really just, if you want to, that's your choice. If you talk to her and but at the end of the day, I think it would give a lot of clarity, and to see if she is progressing, whatever progressing to her looks like, and also clarify those questions like, was I not the man that was I not holding up myself in the image that you saw me? Is that why you acted on those things? Obviously, it may be very like hurtful or whatever, but it's clarity. It gives you an idea of like where she stood at the moment, and it gives you a sense of,
yeah,
I understand now. It gives me that like that help, the fucking thoughts that like I can never kind of find a solution to.
Yeah. Even in this sense right now, I don't think, I know you guys, are giving, you know what I mean, what you think like would give a
prescribing,
maybe,
sure.
You know what I mean?
Why not?
I could say that in that sense right now, but I have no intention of ever speaking to her to gain some sort of thing from her. I think if anything, I'm going to find clarity within myself. And like, that is from talking to you guys. And
what's the word? Sorry.
Just like, I think, and two, I've already accepted the fact, like, just me saying like, I don't know. It's weird just hearing about it, 'cause I don't think I know why, you know what I mean? But I've already accepted a long time ago that I'm not going to spend another second like trying to figure out why she did this.
Closure's not real, dude. I've like ripped my brain apart back and forth of like, why did you hurt me? Why would you do this? But I will say this, how I told you, like my ex came out and visited me, like we talked, and like I told her, I was like, I am so sorry. Like I let you down in all the ways I let you down. I didn't realize it at the time. And like when we were dating, I thought like, why are you doing this? Blah, blah, blah. But then like looking back into it, I realized like I would just send her, and I almost was treating her like a trophy on the shelf to be looked at, but really like I'm the main attention. I'm the main grab. Like she's just a compliment to me, And like the more I got complacent about it, the more I was like, she's mine. She's locked and loaded. Like I stopped giving her the attention and love she needed to feel needed. So like she felt like she had to go somewhere else for the emotional tension that she was lacking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like, it's true. I stopped giving her that love that, and like, and she like was crying. She was like, I can't thank you enough for saying that, and I was like, I let you down. It's not just your fault. It was my fault.
Closure is very subjective too. I don't think closure is like real.
And I didn't get closure, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think Mariah thinks she got closure either. I think my closure for myself was like, I ain't the fuck out of here. But that's just me. Like, I think
subjective.
closure can be like a selfish thing. It's like, you didn't give me any closure. Like, you didn't give me closure.
My closures, I'm fucking doing better. I'm literally a better man than I was a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
That's facts.
I think,
Like that's good for me.
yeah. And that's not like to think, like, I think Mariah's doing actually pretty good from what people have been telling me. So I don't really need to, I don't feel like I want to like check up and be like, hey, like, blah, blah, blah.
You don't need to do all that.
Yeah, no. I don't have an intention of doing that in that sense. But I think it's interesting. I think I'll leave off on this and the last one is just like reading all this stuff has given me a lot of insight as to like why things did the way they went. Some things I'll just never know, and then some things I'll know where I played that role and what devil I was at that time, or what person I was. Like
And there's no way to know everything. Like,
exactly, I know nothing.
and I think kind of what John was coming back to, and it's just kind of a point. I think it was in one of the books we read, but the most honorable and admirable men throughout history accepted responsibility. Mm-hmm. So like what John did when his girl came out here and visited and said, I'm sorry. He accepted responsibility for what he did. Mm-hmm. That's the most you can do. I mean, I have my ex texting me, this is years ago. Like, we broke up years ago. Texting me at least 3-4 times a year. Hey, can we meet up? I want closure. I found that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's nothing, I don't need anything from you. And the fact that you need something from me tells me there's something going on where you're not addressing in yourself personally. Sure. And there's no way I can give you that.
Yeah.
And there's no one sentence, one paragraph, one novel I could tell you that will fix your problems. That is your responsibility. Mm-hmm. And like I said, the most honorable and admirable men throughout history, and you can name a decade, accept responsibility for what they've done. Yeah. And even for what other people have done.
Yeah.
That's probably one of my greatest accomplishments. Like, especially like just getting older and reading and stuff, is just being responsible for everything. It doesn't matter if I had no part of it. Like, I was there. There could have been a way that I stopped it or played into it. I'm responsible. And I learned that through Gary Vee. I don't like once I heard him say that, like, and I really started applying it. I was like,
and I will say this: you accepting responsibility doesn't take weight off the scale of what they did.
Right.
All you're doing is saying it wasn't just your weight on the scale; it was also my weight.
Yeah.
And then once you do that, you can say, okay, I'm accepting responsibility for what, and then so what? What do I do from here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I accept responsibility for this. So what am I going to do about it? Like, it should be the immediate question following that.
Yeah, what am I going to
do? With the situation, with the relationship, you can repair that bond if you really want to. I'm kind of the guy that's all about clean cuts personally, but like accepting responsibility. Okay, this is how I acted in this relationship. This is how I could better it for the next one. This is how I'm going to do it for the better for the next one. Like, I'm taking responsibility for what, so what?
And then going off of that, like, unique set of responsibility, one thing is like, we were rocky. And instead of me putting more time into trying to like, maybe figure out for us, I would wake up at like 3:30 and go to work 3:30 in the morning because I worked an hour and a half away. And I'd come home, and what was important to me is like, I need to go to the gym. That's what's important to me, not you. Like, straight up, like, my priorities were wrong. My priorities should have been like, hey, you're like the most important thing to me. I want to fix it. But to me, I was like, I need the gym. And then I want to come home, I want to relax. I don't want to deal with problems.
Right.
Okay.
So like, that's me being like, hey, I should have put more time for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if everybody adopted that way of thinking, responsibility, life would be a lot easier. A lot, I think, fucking 100 times easier.
And that way, moving forward, because of the time thing, I know what I like, bro. I love working out. I love going to the gym with you. I love like being in the gym. I love what we're doing here. I go to work. I spend time with Ace. I physically don't know where I could pencil in having a girlfriend to like give her the time she needs, like to water that garden. So like, I'd rather just not plant any sort of seed.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. Like it's too much. It's just too much effort to even pencil in the idea. Like,
that's why I like the cactus, the weekend girlfriend. They don't need a lot of love. I want a weekend girlfriend. Like, I'll water you once a week. I'll give you my love Friday through Saturday, but Sunday you go home.
Water you once a week. No pun intended.
Damn. Do you think? I don't know.
Say it.
Say it. No. I was gonna say. Do you think going at that rate, like you're gonna wake, or you're gonna be like, like one day you're gonna be like, oh, okay, like she like I want the fucking the Monstera plant that requires attention 24/7, and I'm gonna switch up and put the cactus down for a little bit.
I think personally, just how I operate. Well, one, I'd be a collaboration. You would talk to an individual and be like, what type of garden are we planting? You know, it'd be a collaboration. I wouldn't compromise my lifestyle. But I just, you guys know me. I don't think I can be with a girl that needs a lot of needs. I think I need someone who's like, can take care of herself and like not need me 24/7.
Are you asking needs or basing like, or just commitment?
Okay, thank you. Let's clarify.
Needs or commitment.
Like, are you saying like they need John or they need a man in their life, or is it more of like not having the weekend girlfriend anymore?
No, I agree. No, needs for me is like a, I don't need.
So
I don't
you're talking more commitment.
Yeah.
I think it'd be collaboration. Like if I would find someone that like I see myself in, like I would like spend more time with you, then just moving forward, how do we build a relationship?
Can we all too, like, everybody here, would we agree that we don't want a girl that's needy? Because I don't think I want a girl that's needy.
I physically can't. Some guys like that. They feel satisfied by having someone that needs them in their life.
Yeah.
You'd have to define needy.
I think.
I don't know. I thought this was funny.
I think emotionally needy. I think, talking about emotional bank accounts.
Sure.
I think I could provide that a lot for somebody right now.
You're so good at that too.
I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I think I've had my emotions fucked up and like just like wrecked by, you know what I mean? Like not by someone. I was a part of that. I'll accept responsibility. I played a role being with Mariah, and I fucked my own emotions up too, somewhat, somehow. Right? Not just her. That's not. Yeah, she didn't have a gun in my head and say like feel sad. Like I was giving her emotional mastery over me. Right? So now I feel like I have a very fine-tuned like mastery over my emotions. So when I am with someone who is a woman, and they are feminine and very emotional, not like emotional like how people, you know what I mean? Just
for this instance, let's say needy being, I'll just say like 4 topics: financial needy, like you provide for them. Physically, every time you have free time, they want to be around you.
That's what bothers me.
Mentally, they want you to always be thinking about them. And socially, when you're out with your friends, they want to be sort of in the conversation. Just
that was like a 3 no's, like no.
But that's
no,
just to make it very objective rather than being like needy.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because that's how I view needy. I view needy as like it's an overall neediness.
I think that's a good way to put it. He broke it down in categories.
It's because I think everybody is needy to a certain extent. Like we all want needs in our life.
I mean, Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
You know what I mean? Like, but needy is we're talking about like the needy that starts to affect our fucking lifestyle, our independent lifestyle.
It compromises your lifestyle.
I would say no, I wouldn't want that. Fiscally, at this point, no. But at some point, like if that's what it is, like she's the mother of my children, then I understand. But like, no, you're not gonna get all of my time. No, you're not gonna get all of my mental activity, and no, you're not gonna get whatever that last one you said was.
The social engagement.
No,
I guess.
because like I need to be able to hold my own conversation without being like, oh yeah, so what do you think? Like, if I'm talking to you guys, like. And we're doing this right now, and she was just here. I don't want to have to feel like
that
I have
used to bother the fuck out of me.
She should, if she wants to jump in and have jump into the conversation, do it. I'm not going to be the one that's going to be like,
what do you think?
What do you think?
Yeah.
Like, none of us here be like, sometimes we'll be like, okay, well, what do you think, David? But like, we're not like
fucking holding your hand.
Right. Like, let me know when I can jump in.
I'm so bad at that. My ex used to be like, you never introduce me to people. You just start talking. She's like, you know everybody. And she's like, you just start sending it. I go, I cannot help it. Like, introduce yourself. Like, I'm so sorry.
Right. Yeah. I just wanted to do an honorable mention here on page 256. It says here, the highest form of wisdom is the continual search for knowledge.
Sure. Yes, sir.
I mean, how can you lead somebody if you're not leading to something like there's no goal, and one, you're not striving to continually grow your knowledge in a subject. Just pick one.
You're not leading yourself to anything.
Right. So like you want to be a leader, and I give you that, and like I respect you. But if you're gonna want to be a leader, where are we going?
A leader of what?
A household.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Like as a dad,
Okay.
you want to be the leader of the household.
No,
you need to have some sort of goal.
I got your question, but like reiterating, it's like, okay, sure, the household.
Okay.
Where are you leading the house to? You know, I see what you're saying.
Like, okay, I want another property so we can rent it out.
Sick.
That's a goal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Okay, we can all get behind that. Okay, so what do you need to do for that? Okay, we need somebody to do fiscal. Okay, my mom can handle that. Okay, we need somebody to do property management. Me and my dad can handle that. My sister can learn from the whole process. It doesn't matter what the goal is.
Mm-hmm.
Just lead the family somewhere, because that's your role as a man. You need to have a purpose in a family, because they're meant to fall in line behind that.
It's like a lack of goal.
Right. If you don't have that, you're going to lose respect in your house.
Mm-hmm.
And like reestablish that and demand respect. That's my thing. Like,
you know, okay, sorry.
no, you're good. I was
on that note, does a household have to have like a goal?
yeah.
I would say yes. Very much.
Really?
Hell yes.
You guys think so?
Yes.
Like if you're going to demand respect from the people in your household as a man, you need to have purpose.
Because I just want to, like, in my house where I grow up, my dad like doesn't have a goal, and neither of them, like, they're both pretty independent. They like do what they like to do, and like we just live like we all coexist with each other, if that makes sense.
But
if you asked him that, would he say what you said? I don't have a goal.
I could ask him that, but I know my parents. You know what I'm saying?
I think it'd be worth asking.
The identification of role in itself is a goal, because you have a role to play.
Right.
I would say like, okay,
Role.
you know what? Here, let's link back. I'm gonna ask my dad if he has a goal in mind, and I'll link back.
Right.
Just watch them my whole life. There's never been a goal.
Okay.
Maybe his goal was to
what-
raise you as a
That's
son, you know.
But now that's achieved.
Yeah.
Let's say I want to be a provider.
I'm seeing
your goal is
I'm
now.
seeing him as like an adult. Like we're both adults.
Right.
We both talk on even grounds. I see my dad's goals. Like he literally just enjoys his time. Like he wakes up and he like whistles and shit, and like he just fucking like hangs out, bro. He's just like, I just want to be happy. And like, I don't know. I think my mom's goal has been for a while to like maybe be something in the community, and like she kind of is that. Like she gets. Like she was in the newspaper this past year. There's like a book on the counter that she's in. Like I think she wants to be someone in the community. But like my dad's goal is just to fucking live.
Defines it. Then that is his goal. You know what I mean? Like his goal. Like you remember that quote with that one quote. People serve constantly. They don't know which God they're serving. Kind of like that. It's like, you know, you're either serving yourself or you're serving something else.
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, even if your dad was like, I just want to be a provider and a good role model to my kids, that's a goal.
Okay.
But there's something that he's striving towards, because you can't just be a good dad and like want to just be happy, because being a good dad doesn't entitle you being happy all the time.
All right, I'm gonna ask. That's interesting.
Yeah,
Because since we brought that up, now it's interesting. That's making me think, like, does my mom or brother have a, like, now I'm thinking like, fuck, like I have goals. Do they have goals? I don't think I could not sit here and tell
Let's
you
all
guys
do that.
Social experiment.
Let's all social experiment. Let's go home. Let's ask our parents, mom, everybody. Honestly, I'm interested to hear what your mom has to say too.
I know.
No. Just like you told me, you don't know. Ask the question and just write down the answer. Social experiment. We'll link back up and talk about it.
That would be
Let me write
sick.
that down.
I was gonna say, can you write that down?
That's interesting because I was talking for him. I never asked him. So you know
Me
what?
either. I never. Damn, that's crazy.
But I mean, do you get what I'm saying though? Like,
I get what you're saying. I guess what I was
like, let's say the leader of your company, your boss or whatever, is just like sitting on the couch playing video games, smoking weed. Like,
But I could tell you her goal. Her goal is to all of her work. She wants to give it to God. Like when she does a job, it's not to like make this person happy. She was like, if I was presenting this work to God, would he be like, you did your best? That's how she takes it. And I go, I can get behind that. Mm-hmm. Let's full send for Jesus. Like I always say, let's full send for Jesus.
I mean, that's her goal.
My rebuttal to that was like my whole life, I never felt like there was a common goal in the family.
Right.
Okay. That's why I was like, I never felt like we're like,
Okay.
Well,
it's
I mean,
common,
it doesn't
shared
have to
goal.
be common. I mean, I was just saying, like, as a man, like, you should have a purpose. It's not to say your son has to follow you and help you with it.
Living a meaningful life, right?
Right. But if you want to, like, command respect, you have to be respectable.
Yeah. And that's why I
Earn
always
it. You
say,
have to get it. I think you have to earn it.
yeah, that's why I'm living by, like, lead by example. Like,
Lighthouse
I
to
can't
others.
lead you guys if I'm not, like, if I'm telling Jay, bro, like, you know what would help if you go to the gym 4 times a week and you hit this exercise and do this, and I'm fucking at home playing video games. And
not
why
going
am
to the
I
gym, right.
Like, that don't make no fucking sense.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's giving advice, like he says in the beginning, just talking a bunch of hot shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I just thought it was an honorable mention. That's why I like school so much, is it's a continual process of wanting to learn something.
Yeah. And I've also heard too, that I'm kind of adapting my like ideas to this too, is age is not how you define your oldness or how old you believe you are. It's how much knowledge and experience that you continue to go through.
Right.
People, if you just like look at people and ask like what they're going through in life and where they're at and what they do every day, you'll find out a lot of older people are on this like continuum of the same
The loop.
repetitive.
The loop.
They're
right?
just saying that I'm getting older because guess what? I'm doing the same shit and it's just time. People that feel young and very like excited for the future. You can be fucking 70 years old. This is your loop. Whoop. Send you over here. Whoop.
On
That's
that
why I
note,
respect Waka so much.
On that note, like we talked to Space Buns today, and like I asked her like, "How old are you?" Because she said she just got into working out like a year and a half ago, and she looks amazing. She looks like amazing, and she was like,
Is she our age or no? Or
so that's the thing. So I was like, "How old are you?" And she's like, "I'm 29," which threw me off because she looks like she's like my age, 25. 29 is not that big of a gap,
Yes.
but almost 30. You're like, okay, and I was like, I didn't say it, but in my head I go, "You look amazing for 29." But like. You know, she's not done growing, you know? And like, I can feel that just with her energy.
Does she have a boyfriend or husband?
She's married with a 4-year-old, about to turn 5. So, but like, I knew all that. I just thought maybe she was just like 25 with a 5-year-old. You know, that shit happens all the time.
Yeah.
But I was like, just with her energy, I was like, you still feel very young.
Yeah.
Like, I like, you could be 23.
Yeah.
I don't know, you know?
Yeah. That's why I don't think your age has anything to do. Like all age defines to me is how long you've been on this fucking planet.
Hey, Space Bun,
Does not like.
be 40, I was still about it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
I guess the technical term, yeah, absolutely. You're old because you're fucking 60 because you know what I mean? That's technically like how long you've been physically here.
Yeah.
You're older than a lot of like the comparable, like to a fucking 2-year-old.
Right.
But in essence of like a philosophy, like really mentally, like you're not old until you decide that you're fucking old.
Right. And that's why I look up to Waka so much. Is like this guy, he's got a million projects he can work on. He's choosing one every year, at least one. He's dropping 5 papers this year with 4 maps.
That's
like,
fucking crazy.
you know, and next year he's gonna do more. And so it's like we're literally sitting there. My mom's like, I like him. I'm like, that's who's gonna be my advisor. Like,
Nice.
he's always smiling. He looks young. He goes to the gym. Like, he doesn't look like he's 60.
Yeah.
He's fitter than anybody in this room.
That's crazy.
I mean, the dude's crazy.
Cap.
I promise you, bro. He literally does like 45-minute
Yeah,
planks.
if the stories that you're telling, like, I
Okay,
don't
that's
know.
actually crazy. Okay.
They have competitions at the school. Who can have the longest
He's
planks? This
fucking
guy
like
does like 45.
Guy Sensei and Rock Lee, fucking like.
That's crazy.
And so he's always pursuing something. He's always continually
I wanna
want to
watch his YouTube
improve
videos.
his knowledge. And so that's why I look at him as a wise person.
That's crazy.
What's it? What's Wakabayashi?
Yeah. WAKABAYA. Capping, bro. Y'all
This
thought I
man
was
does
capping.
weighted fucking muscle ups.
You thought I
old
was
is he?
capping,
How old
bro.
is he?
He's 61.
This is 5 years ago, so he's still 50.
He's 55 right here.
He's got that backpack's probably like 40 pounds. I'm just gonna let you know.
Bro.
That's it.
No, he does a bunch of them, bro.
I'm just kidding.
This man's fucking buff as shit.
Dude, look at his
I'm
arms,
telling you, bro. I'm telling you. He's a cancer survivor too.
Wow.
This man needs a fucking story, bro. Like,
And that's why I was like, "Are you willing to do an interview?" And he's like, "Yeah,
Totally.
yeah.
Hell
Well, when? Just tell me when." And I was like, "Oh yeah, hell yeah."
That's gonna be a fucking awesome.
David, we're going to the gym. I'm getting the weighted belt. We're putting
We gotta do that
45s on.
shit.
I got to show Wakabayashi what's up.
Jesus.
I can't wait for you. Like when you guys meet him, he's really
I wanna meet this guy.
Let's wrap this shit up.
yeah. I just have one more thing. Types of conversations, he talks about it to the tail end of this chapter from 243 to 253.
Yeah.
And he talks about the listening conversation, the Rogerian method, dominance hierarchy, lecture, and mutual exploration. And so my question was, what do you classify our weekly meetings as? And really think about it and why.
Can you say them again real quick? I know the question.
Listening, types of conversation, listening, that's on page 243. Rogerian, which is on 245 to 248. Dominance hierarchy, 249. Lecture, 251. Mutual exploration, 253.
I think we borderline lecture and mutual collaboration, whatever the fucking last thing is.
Yeah, mutual exploration.
I think it's mutual, which I highlighted that saying mutual exploration equals collaboration, talking.
Yeah.
Talking and collaboration.
Yeah.
Because it's like we both get to build this path together.
Correct.
But I think we also lean on lecturing sometimes too. Like, like me and Devin talking to David. Even though we were talking, you know, it was like me giving you my advice and like you were like listening and then we talked back. So
I would definitely say the mutual, the last one, lecturing, because that we're learning, you know what I mean? And we want to kind of like subconsciously kind of teach other people because we're learning with this. But also this one where it says we're thinking of something to say, anxiously waiting, which one would that go under?
Dominance, probably dominance.
I think there is a lot of that goes on because like we always are quick to interrupt each other or cut each other off without ever like being like they're not done and like waiting until that person's like, all right, I'm completely done.
Is that something you want to change?
I wouldn't change, but just be aware. You know what I mean? Just acknowledge that like if someone's not done talking, if they're still like, if they haven't like sat back or like something, then just.
There's also a dominance hierarchy though, like of just trying to run the conversation, I'd say, and like keep talking and talking and talking. Mm-hmm. So I think there is like necessary interjection because we need to keep the ball rolling with, you know, topics. So
especially with the recording and all that stuff, I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say, like, I know, like, you guys are talking, and you can see my body language. I go, like, because, like, something popped in my head, and I'm not trying to cut you guys off. It's just, like, you guys inspired a thought in my head. Yeah. Like, I just naturally react. I'm a very body language guy. Yeah. But I do try to wait.
Yeah. So nothing to change. Just more of just identifying it, I guess, for the sake of the question.
Okay.
Cool. And I think all that's fucking natural human interaction.
Because I think we... for the most part, I think we lean towards that last one, the mutual like observation conversation. Like I think we all like understand that we.
Yeah, I mean, we set that precedent
from the very beginning. Yeah,
yeah. Like so it was like we're here because we all know we need to improve, and we all kind of bring something to the table. So we're all worth listening to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wraps up that Paradyme podcast.
All right, that was rule number 9. Assume the person you're talking to might know something that you don't. By Dr. Jordan B. Peterson. The 12 Rules for Life. That's Paradyme Podcast. We're signing off.
Oh, yeah.
All right. That was rule number 9 from Dr. Jordan B. Peterson's book, 12 Rules for Life. Assume the person you are listening to might know something you do not. We hope you enjoyed the show. Please drop us a like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below, and follow us on all our social media platforms. We hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And remember, now equals tomorrow.
You're the protagonist in your story, but like there's a million other people.